Hello and welcome back to CloudVision Chats. I'm Tamash, and with me today I have Hugh and Himanshu. We're thrilled to have you join us for our second episode. If you're new here in this podcast, we're going to discuss all things CloudVision, tips and tricks, and the most popular requests of our user base. So sit back, relax, and invest in you.
Previously on CloudVision Chats.
In last episode, we had a small intro to what CloudVision is and what its capabilities are. We then contrasted traditional polling and real-time state streaming. Lastly, we demonstrated dashboards and event reporting on a real-time network congestion issue.
If you're interested in watching the previous episode, you can find the link in the description below. I really like those animation with the bombs on the SNMP side. It reminded me of Atomic Bomberman, one of my favorite childhood video games.
So is that how you got into networking then?
Funnily enough, yes. I remember in the 90s, I was lucky that my dad was a sysadmin, so we've always had a PC or two in our home until I melted one, but that's a story for another day. And my friends would come over and we'd play like Counter-Strike, Age of Empires, StarCraft, Diablo over LAN. And we didn't have a switch at the time, so we'd set up the network between two PCs. And my dad was explaining that we need to use a different cable for that called a crossover, as that is used to connect devices of the same type. And after that's done, he then showed me in the control panel in the network adapter settings how you have to set up the IP address, which had to be 192.168.0.1 on one side and 0.2 on the other side. And of course, the subnet mask had to be 255, 255, 255.0 always. And I was just so eager to play that I accepted those as axioms and started my Zerg rush against the Protoss. And as I was growing up, we've done a lot of LAN parties with friends, and was always interested in learning more, of course. And when I started my networking studies at university, everything finally clicked. And then suddenly I understood wiring standards and subnetting and all the beautiful things of networking, and the rest is history.
Yeah. My first network was built for multiplayer Doom with a massive four-player setup, would you believe?
Oh,
We
nice.
would string PCs, cables between PCs using thin wire Ethernet, so not even a switch, and regularly lost connection when somebody tripped over those cables. It'd
Oh,
been quite good if we had CloudVision to monitor it then. That reminds me, last time's discussion really highlighted the difference in response time and granularity of data that it get between SNMP and streaming telemetry.
yeah, we got some really good feedback from episode one, and we thought it would be great to bring Himanshu back for another episode to discuss how we actually build those CloudVision dashboards. So, Himanshu, welcome back. Can you take us through those dashboards from the previous episode?
Hey guys, thank you. Thank you so much for inviting me back. So, yeah, let's rewind a bit to the previous episode where we had this amazing dashboard. So, let me just take you back to this dashboard that we had from our previous session. And if you recall, we had a very nice collection of, panels put together, such as these aggregate panels, which show us some, high-level overview about the interface states. We had these horizon graphs showing us certain metrics over a period of time, like the counters and the discards and Vanzi metrics, which we were seeing. And also these interface status panels, which we were taking a look at from the last time, where we could see a collection of events related to those particular categories.
Yeah, the interface status panel, that looks really cool. How was that built?
Oh, yeah, so that specific one is actually a built-in panel. So this is something that you can use right out of the product. And this is actually an events panel, which shows you the events, or basically a summary of events related to that particular category. So for example, if you have these discards and errors, you can just click on that and show events related to that particular type. It gives you a very nice overview of the interfaces where you're seeing that, the status of the event, and when did it start. Now, if you're just starting out with CloudVision, just trying to figure out how do you go ahead and build these amazing dashboards, you can always use our very amazing help center. Now, this is something that's built into the product as well. So you can see if I just want to know about dashboards, I can just click on that help center link and, configuring a dashboard or just trying to find about what different panels are there. Like in our case, the events panel that we are talking about right now, it gives you like step-by-step instructions. And this is also available as an external website. So yeah, do take a look from there if just starting out with CloudVision and want to get some help related to that. All right, with that, let me just come back to this particular dashboard. And in case if you just want to make changes to a dashboard, all you've got to do is just click on this edit button, which now you presents you a view of, okay, now you can go about and make changes to this dashboard. Now, in this case, since we wanted to take a look at these events panel, we can go down to this particular dropdown. click on summaries, and you can see there is a nice events panel which is showing out here. And as soon as you click it, it populates it here. There is a lot of flexibility in dashboards, so you can always resize it, move it around. And by default, it's giving me some top event sources per device. What you can do is you can just click on here and just click on configure, which will take you to the more tweaks and toggles about what this panel can actually do. In this case, you have different view modes, which you can just select depending upon what type of view you want to see. In our case, we just want to make a panel similar to the previous one. So I'll just click on event threshold, and my threshold is set to 1. So over a period of time, whatever event that I'm matching, if it exceeds that particular threshold, it will show up here. So let me just take an example. I think I'll go for unexpected interface shutdown. And let me just select that. So you can see now I have around 126 events related to that particular type, and they all show up out here.
So are these events just limited to interface-related events, or can you use other events here?
Oh, that's not a problem. So this entire panel is really adaptable, and you can select a lot of different event types. So it's not just really restricted to the interfaces. Like I can also, for example, take a look at BGP-related events. So for example, if I'm interested in any neighbors which are in an established state, and you can see, oh, there you go, around 19 devices, I think will show up here with what the source of those events and what are the status of those events.
Nice. So what's that thing? Rule labels. What's that about?
Oh, yeah. So in CloudVision, basically related to events, you can create rules, which basically allow you to kind of tweak or generate events more specific to your need. Now, I'll just switch over to the events panel to kind of show you what do I mean. Like in every event, you will basically see there's a default rule condition, which basically defines how that rule is going to trigger, event is going to trigger, and CloudVision will show you an event related to that.
So are there any default rules that we already have, or default rule labels that we already have in CloudVision?
Oh, yeah. So each event type will have a default rule, and any user can basically click on this add rule and start adding their own rules if they want. Just to kind of give you a more better example of it, I can just show you syslog-based event rules. So here you can see there are different rules for each and every syslog. So based on the syslog ID, the severity, and the mnemonic, you have different rules which are there, which you can select. Now you might ask, okay, how is that related to the panels? Now, if you go back to the panels, let's say, for example, if I'm monitoring syslog-based events, all right, I go ahead and select that. But I'm only interested in some of the syslog-based events which match to a specific criteria or a rule label. Let's say, again, I'll just focus on BGP, say BGP bad AS. All right, so it filters down my events panel to those specific events. So now you can see I only have those 2 events out here.
Yeah, very cool.
Cool. So that's really cool. But I noticed you got some interface widgets all in a sort of group panel. How's that done?
Oh, yeah, that's a nice observation. So in dashboards, if you see like the one which we had, the panel which we added, these are called individual panels, right? And while you can always move them around and make this into a pretty dashboard, sometimes you always want to feel that, okay, if I have a certain set of panels, I want to group them together just to make the dashboard a bit more tidy and look in a better way. So in dashboards, you have a pretty nice feature called as layouts. And within layouts, you can select a group or a tab layout. And that's really useful in, say, grouping certain panels together. So for example, I can create a group layout here. I'll just name it as, all right, interface metrics. So interface metrics. And let's say if I'm interested in these metrics horizon panels, which are here, I can always click on, say, move and say interface metrics. And say I want the discards to also move to that particular group. So you can see you can move those panels back into this particular group, and that kind of make the dashboard a bit more organized in that sense. And again, if you're interested in moving those panels back, you can always move them back to the main dashboards.
I gotta say, I really like the donuts, even though it takes like an hour to burn them on the indoor bike or by running. But how can we build those? Are they calorie free?
Yeah, I think the donuts are popular anywhere, like whether in CloudVision or in a bakery shop. Now, I'm not a chef, but I can really show you how to make these donuts in CloudVision dashboards. So for these, you basically have to go back to the metrics panel. And here, I can just click on this metric panel here. And I'll just resize it to the size I like. All right, I'll just move it out here. Okay. Then basically, just like we had done for the events panel, I'll go ahead and configure this. And in this case, now just let me quickly run through some of the details that you see out here. For example, the data source. This is basically telling what type of metrics you're interested in. Are you interested in device level metrics, or for that example, interface level metrics? And you'll see this metrics panel update based on that. Like you'll see interface level metrics here now. So in this case, I'm just trying to build a panel where I can see what are different types of optics I have. So I'll just say transceiver type, and yeah, I'll just go ahead and select that. And in the data set, I'll just say, okay, what all devices that or where I want to source my data from. Now, this is where your tag-based query can come in. So you can either select an entire device in itself, or you can select specific interfaces on a device. So for this example, I just go ahead and select a device, let's say AI Leaf 1. And it's not just restricted to one device. You can add more and more devices. So I can say AI Leaf 1, and let's also give AI Leaf 3. Now, once I've done, you can see it says, oh, 146 interfaces found. That's good. I just go ahead and click on this donut graph. And you can see it populates all that information out here. So I can see I have around 400 gig optics, around 22 of them. And this is really helpful just trying to identify, okay, what all different types of optics I have.
That's great. And there's just small observation here, but I noticed that mostly all the widgets in this one in this dashboard have that filter icon on the top right, but this new one doesn't. So what's the difference? Why and what's that doing? Why do the others have it and why doesn't this one have it?
Oh, yeah, that's a very sharp observation. So in case if you take your mouse over that icon, you can see it tells me that, okay, the data set is filtered by a particular tag. And that kind of tells me that, okay, that particular panel is only showing me information related to that specific device. And this is where your dashboard inputs come in. So for example, what you can do is you can define global dashboard level inputs, which allow you to filter data for each and every panel. Like for example, we have this tags panel here. So if I go ahead and just show you this particular input. So it is a query type device, and the default value has been set to AI Leaf 3. This means that all the panels out here will be filtered based on this particular tag value.
So if we add more devices in the top, does that update all the widgets that are using the tags automatically?
Oh, right. That's absolutely correct. So let me actually show that. How do you actually add this tag to your panel? So for example, like you found out that the panel that we just created doesn't have that filter. You can just go ahead to configure and come down here. And within dashboard inputs, you can select any inputs that you have defined. So I'll just click on tags, and you can see now my filter has updated to show only AI Leaf 3. Now, like you mentioned, if I'm basically looking at this data or like I'm doing some troubleshooting, I can select a wide or basically cast a wider net initially. So I can select multiple devices here. I say, all right, let me show me information for AI Leaf 1 as well. And that dynamically updates all the panels in one go. So I don't have to go to each and every panel to say, hey, start showing me information for about this device as well. And that reflects across all the panels of the dashboard.
That's very handy.
Yeah, that is. I mean, I'd have loved that when doing the older networking stuff. So if you've had a problem in the past, can you see that as well? Is there sort of some kind of historical data you can see with these?
Oh, absolutely. So for example, whenever you are happy and you have basically done with your changes to the dashboard, you can go ahead and click on save. And once you basically click on done, you can see that here there is a time picker, which it is telling me that, okay, I'm seeing 1 hour worth of data. And what you can do is you can just go ahead and click on that. And a nice timeline pops up at the bottom of your page where you can change your time window to as much as you want. So I can go up to 4 hours. And that's not just with respect to your current time. You can always go ahead and basically change your date and go back in time. So this is really helpful when you're just trying to troubleshoot some network related issue, and that happened in the past. And you can go back to that particular time frame and see what was the state based on these panels that you have built.
Looks like the graphs are changing and the aggregates are changing there as well, the horizon graphs as you move as you expanded the timeline.
Oh, yeah, that's again a nice catch. I think you have very keen eyes. So, what Thomas is basically highlighting here is that once I changed my time slider here to about 4 hours, you can see the graphs have updated and it's showing me that it's basically aggregated data. So, what's basically happening is based on my time window, I'm seeing an aggregated data instead of a more granular data. And this is again, depending upon the type of panel that you're viewing, you will have different types of aggregates. Like if I go ahead and then shrink my time window to about 3 hours, you can see now the discards are not showing as an aggregate, is basically more granular data that you can see. But my Landsy metrics have dropped to a 10-second aggregate. And if you further drill down, you can go down to millisecond aggregates and even down to 30 seconds. So now you're seeing much more granular data. And if you want basically to see the data as it is happening, you can just always click on that particular panel and just go to the, let me click that to 5 minutes. I think, yeah, this one. So here you can see the graphs, which is basically updated in real time to show you the values as they are happening. And data table is always there. Again, we touched about this in the episode 1, where you can view all this information with the timestamp, and you can also export it to CSV.
I guess something to bear in mind here is that we have 43,200 records of each state or telemetry path.
Well, just a small number then.
Yeah, just a small number that we've split across multiple aggregate levels. And for the raw data in general, you'd have like 5 days, could be less. And at a given time, you can see those in a 3 hour and 20-minute window, so 200 minutes. And if the range is higher than 200 minutes, then the UI will switch to the next level of aggregation, as Himanshu showed. But you should be able to move the slider 3 hour, 20 minutes at a time until 5 days to get the raw data. Otherwise, you'd get the less granular 1 minute or 15-minute aggregates and so on. So you might want to keep that in mind. Um, well, thanks again, you and Himanshu. It was a very interesting episode. We've covered a bunch of the dashboard capabilities of CloudVision. Not all of them, of course. You can do a lot more, and if you explore, and once again, you can use the help center, or you can just also click around the UI and play with it yourself. And as you've seen, you have various options. You can use widgets based on event times using time blocks, which are actually color coded to reflect the severity of the most critical event. You can use event count thresholds as well. You can create aggregate panels using horizon graphs, line graphs. You can create tables. You can add donut graphs. Let's not forget the donuts. Um, and finally, you can use tags to filter on devices and interfaces or arbitrary strings to show only relevant information to you or your team's needs. So with that said, hope you've enjoyed the chat, refreshed your mind, and got something useful to explore. And until next time, see you guys.